Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new around here, my name is Katie. I'm a full-time sketchbook artist and I have just finished this sketchbook, so I'm going to be doing a tour. So this is full to the brim with colourful art. If you're new to my channel, you might not know that I usually split my sketchbooks into two. So I've already filmed the first half of this, which was a few months ago, so in the summer. So I will leave a link up here in the cards and down below in the description to part one, but we're going to be starting halfway through. So first, let me tell you a little bit about the sketchbook if you haven't seen that first one. This is the Strathmore Mixed Media 500 series sketchbook. This is a 7.75 inch by 9.75 inch. I really like this size. It feels like there's enough space to really go wild and a bit more loose, which you'll see in these pages, but also not too big that it feels too daunting. So it is smaller than A4. I like that it's a bit more squarer. And yeah, there's some really lovely art in here that I'm very proud of and I'm excited to show you today. Okay, so let's find the middle. I am also going to take out these scraps of paper. I do often get asked, and I think I mentioned this in most sketchbook tours, about how to stop the pages from smudging, and I just use baking parchment like this, or you could use tracing paper or deli paper, I think it might be called in the US, but this just means that any material that I've put on here, like neocolours or pastel, will transfer onto this rather than the art. And I have a few of these, 5 or so, that I then cycle through the sketchbook rather than having them, in the early pages, because it's the pressure from the other side when you're working on the other page that causes it to transfer. So I'm just going to take these out so I can do a proper flip through. So this is where we got to. This is exactly halfway through, so this was from part 1. And then this was in August 2025, and I did a tutorial on my Patreon. The theme was English country gardens, which is so up my street. I absolutely love that theme. And yeah, I used lots of my own photos from a couple of gardens and filmed a main video where I was sharing different styles and methods and different mediums for simplifying a garden scene. So up here we've gone pretty abstract, for me anyway. I guess not abstract compared to some abstract artists. But this was very, very loose with watercolour. This one was using a pastel base, so green pastel, and then going on top with some coloured pencils and neocolour. And then this one over here, this was with a pink base layer, and then I think some acrylic markers, some gouache, some neocolours and pencils. If you watched my favourite mixed media combinations, you'll know that is my go-to. I'll leave that linked as well. Usually I do link quite a few things in these videos. But this one was interesting because when I was going through it really wasn't turning out. I think that's normal for all artists, but I did share how to problem solve in that one and what I did to fix this. So it was definitely about tone and contrast, so I'm really glad I managed to sort of pull this back because I do really like it now. I think that's mostly because of the pink base, but I really love this colour palette. It feels very, very summery. Okay, this was another tutorial on Patreon. This was September, so the following month. So as you can see, sometimes I'll reach for this all of the time, and sometimes I won't. I think this sketchbook started November 2024 for this first one, and then I didn't touch it until April 2025. So my sketchbooks can take a long time to fill, or I might really be feeling this size and need this sort of paper because it does handle a lot, and then I'll work in it for ages. So definitely, since September, I've definitely used a lot more pages than I did from earlier on. But this was interior month, so I think it's really good to push ourselves. Obviously you'll see that I mostly do nature and landscapes, but I really enjoyed interior month and I'm really happy with this spread. Not only is it out of my comfort zone in terms of subject, but also colour, because I never use red. But I used some references from some magazines and I filmed the entire process. These ones were on timers, so we've got a 2-minute and a 10-minute here, just to try and show how to simplify, because obviously interiors can be very, very busy. I think this one was line first and then colour, and this one was colour and then line, or the other way around. But this one was my favourite. This one took 50 minutes, so I really took my time. Usually I do like to work fast, but I had so much fun adding in these details. You might not know that this was me if you saw this spread, but for me, I really like pushing myself. And I think it worked out really nicely. So this was brush pens, some coloured pencils, and also the Sailor Fude de Manin pen for the line work with a black ink. So a bit different there. This one was also from our interiors month, as you can see here. This was on our Zoom call, so with my wonderful community and doing a few different references and then sort of me walking through how to simplify them and then also to like where to start really. So for this one, I do like this one having the background in the distance and pushing that back. We had quite a big image and lots of details, so we focused on just one area. This one is a separate panel from this one, so I filled it in. And I really like this layout. It feels very fun and playful. And then I had this gap down here, so I just did this after the session of my dining room sideboard. But again, different colours for me, totally different subject, but I still really like these spreads, and I do think it's good to push ourselves out of our comfort zone. I was definitely in the mood for ink that month, so this is again the Sailor Fude de Manin, but with watercolour and coloured pencil. Okay, much more loose one here. This one was later in September when I taught my first ever UK workshop, so I did that in Carrie's Secret Garden, which actually was the garden I took these reference pictures from when I went to visit. And then this was during that UK workshop, so it was just a day of using mixed media and simplifying things. So this was a very, very quick demo for simplifying some of the colours and the landscape that we saw in front of us. So very different greens, I talked quite a lot about that and simplifying the shape. So this one, as I said, very quick as you can tell, but there's a lot of energy here. You can still tell that we've got the flower beds in the front. Definitely didn't wait for it to dry, so you can see it's smudged there. There's some ink tints and some Neocolor and some coloured pencil too. But just a really quick one, but this really does make me think of that workshop. So I have some really nice memories of that. Okay, so now we're jumping to the next month, which was October. Now there are quite a few spreads from October because it was my 4-year anniversary on Patreon, so we did lots of live calls that month to celebrate, and I themed it around pockets of joy. So this was themed on what brings us happiness as a community, so I did a questionnaire for my patrons and they all uploaded beautiful images that were linked to the things that bring them joy, and then I used a random generator to pick them from that month, and then we learned all about the things that were really special to the members of my community. So over here we've got this beautiful view in Slovenia, we've got Australia over here, and this one was Kansas. So very different subjects as well, which I think is always really fun. Obviously we do have some landscapes, but things like this I wouldn't normally draw, but that was a really great way to push myself again. And we've got a quilt here, so I do think even though they're totally different subjects and different areas of the world, you can really bring them together in a spread like this, where it's kind of journally and some typography on there, but it feels very fun and playful. So for me, this is what sketchbooking is all about, and I loved working out the layout and putting this all in together. So this was all with watercolour and some coloured pencils and then Neocolor on top. This was all watercolour as well. I like that some of it's out of panel and some of it's in panel, and we've got the different variation there. So for me, this is like my ideal sort of sketchbook spread. I love doing things like this. So that was our first live stream of the month, and then the next week we had another one, but this one, because there were so many gorgeous pictures, I decided to push ourselves a bit. I think these are 10 minutes each, but again, because we had so many photos, I wanted to try and get through them, and I do love timers on Patreon, so it felt quite apt to do a timed session. And it's amazing how much you can feel in that time, and when you're having fun with lots of other people, you don't get into your head, you really do loosen up, and I find myself just having more fun on these sessions. So loads of different areas of the world here, from New Zealand and Australia to America and Europe. So lots of different ones here. Again, mostly landscapes, but we have this lovely dog Steffi up here, and we've got the butterfly. Some I prefer more than others, but again, it's kind of the whole theme together, and also the process. So I'm always talking about enjoying the process, and I definitely found myself loving this one. I really like how this one's looking with the gradient there, even though it's probably one of the simplest, and then this one I really like down here too. So then we had another session. This one was on Zoom. This was our Zoom drawing session, so our third one of the month, and we've got 2 here from Australia. So we've got this gorgeous jacaranda tree and the koala, and then we go to Colorado and northern India. So again, really nice to have these beautiful images to draw from thanks to my patrons. And the replays for all of these sessions are on my Patreon too, so you get access to the full back catalogue if you haven't tried my Patreon before. The lighting here is pretty bad, so apologies, it's a very dark and gloomy day, but I'm going to try my best to lighten it up. But I love how this one feels. It feels very blue and purpley, which obviously wasn't planned because they were picked randomly, but it worked out really nicely. And again, where I'm overlaying different elements, so I like how this one's not in a panel. This one I didn't want to feel confined to a panel, but this one I did. So it can be a little bit tricky to work out how to crop things, but I do like the playfulness of this one. I love this colour. So this was a mix of smalt blue and opera rose. Mostly gouache and then coloured pencils on top. Probably a bit of Neocolor in there too, but I think this is mostly gouache and coloured pencil. I just love this tiny little chair and table set with this gorgeous tree. Such a beautiful photo that I was really happy to paint from. And yeah, just again, a really nice time spending it with my community. Okay, so we're still in October for this one. This was for the main video where I did a sort of very chatty paint with me process whilst I was working through creative block or feeling a little bit burnt out and a bit like I'd lost my creative spark, which I have filmed a vlog about on my channel already. And this one was very, very playful. This one really helped me just to get back into the joy of the process again and just, yeah, really let go, because I definitely think I got too in my head. So this was the first one that kind of felt like I'd unlocked that. So I prepped the base with acrylic gouache. As I said, you can watch the process of this one on Patreon, but this lovely sort of lilac-y blue, pinky colour. And then I went on top with Derwent Inktense, which always encourages my playfulness. And I used Derwent Inktense blocks and pencils. I think that was it, because I really love the textures it gives. So just playing around with this one, not caring about the end result. And then that led to me liking the end result. So that's always fun. But yeah, definitely just playing around. I love the turquoise on here with the orange paired with the yellow greens, which you know I love. And this is a reference that one of my patrons uploaded in Lisbon in Portugal. So again, I had so many lovely references to choose from that month. Okay, and then our final live stream at the end of October. Again, you can see the style that I'm doing here where we were merging different references. And we've got one in Washington, we've got a lovely little cat here, Phoebe, and then another one in America, which is Canyon Park in Utah. So again, I've kind of gone one big and one small. I find that works nicely, but if you had more than, multiple, you could do a panel here and then one out of the panel. I love playing with layouts like this. Again, overlapping things, that's kind of a go-to to make things feel connected, and then tying it all together with my journaling and my swatches. So I really do love pages like this. I feel like it shows in the art when I'm enjoying it as well. Really like the colours here, so more of a muted green, but then lots of neutrals, warm neutrals, and the very warm rocks. So I'm really pleased with this one. Okay, so this was during that Creative Spark vlog, which I mentioned and I'll leave linked. This was actually drawn also on Patreon, but in our creative hangout session, which is unrecorded. It's just a place for us to hang out for an hour and work on our own projects. So this was playing with acrylic ink. I did film a time lapse during that vlog actually. Again, we've got some Derwent Inktense blocks, and I played with collage, which you'll know about if you watch that vlog, where that's come from. This is also collaged on top, but yeah, this one feels a little bit loose and unfinished. I really do like the brightness though, and as I said, it did help me during that week to sort of push outside of that block and find the fun in art again. Okay, so then we are on to November. This is the same week actually, because I did the 5-day challenge to get my creative spark back. So this was on one of the days and this was another. This was following a course from Mike Staniford and Debbie McKinnon's class from Newlyn School of Art. I'll leave everything linked below, but if I've missed anything, do let me know in the comments. This was really fun. This was a view in Cornwall using gouache. This one definitely had its wobbly moments. It definitely didn't look great at first, but I think I pulled it back and I love how bright it is. Very, very loose, which is what I'm always striving for. And although it got a bit muddy at one point, I do think I just about saved it. Again, really like this orange, so that could be something I explore next year, using orange a bit more as a pop, because usually I'll use sky blue or pink. But I think this works really nicely with the olive green. And we've got that turquoise, so definitely some colour palette inspiration I can take from this one too. Okay, next up, we've got this one. This was ahead of December's theme, which was winter colour palettes, and I just wanted to have a play. So I did this one and another one in my smaller sketchbook. Now this one's getting close to the end, so no doubt I'll be doing a sketchbook tour of this one in January. But I just want to share the other version I did, because I did work on these simultaneously. Obviously it's the same reference, but quite different vibes. I did share this on Instagram as well. But yeah, really interesting, playing around with the Derwent Inktense and then also some acrylic gouache, lots of white as well, and just playing with the colours. I don't know that I quite captured the clouds or the sky, but I do like the feeling of this one, and it does feel quite cold and pretty wintry. I love the pops of pink with the purple, and again with the texture from the ink tint. So I feel like I had a lot of fun with this one, and again I do like that I've got this whole spread to fill out. I was being pretty loose, so it didn't feel too bad at the time. Sometimes I know it can be daunting when you've got such a big spread to fill, but I do think this one turned out nicely. This one is another one with prepared backgrounds. So during Norway month, which was our theme in November, I haven't got any work from that in here because I used my specific Norway sketchbook. But that's what really inspired me to use prepared backgrounds, where I'd put down the colour and loads of texture and then work on top. So we're doing that a little bit this month as well. But this one was, I wanted to do like one more autumn scene because I definitely feel like I gravitate towards winter scenes a bit more than this. But I did enjoy this one. So this uses a pinky orange base layer, which you can definitely tell affects the vibe of this one. It makes it feel warm. And then lots of greens on top. This was merging two references I found online and just had a lot of fun with the trees, with the reds, and I definitely lost myself in the process of this one. So this was at the end of November. This was from last week's video, so when I was reviewing the Caran d'Ache gouache palette and doing some mixing with these very, very bright colours. So I'll leave that linked up in the cards as well. And I shared the process for a painting with it as well. Lots of feedback on that one about it being more watercolory. But yeah, it was fun to use, and I definitely do want to take that out and about with me to create plein air, because I do really like how grab and go it is. So not my favourite spread in this one, but it was helpful for me to sort of share my colour mixing and how I would use these bright colours to create my standard landscapes. Okay, then we have a page with some wintry trees. So this was just playing around with dough and Inktense blocks again, trying out a new technique which I shared in a Patreon live stream earlier this month in December, and testing out my session talking about colour palettes and colour theory. So I taught a workshop earlier this month using dough and Inktense and finding different colour palettes. So that is in my Venezia sketchbook. Yes, I have many sketchbooks, but this was like a test on that one, and I do like this. This was actually with a panel background using the Inktense, and yeah, I really like that. Just very playful experiments. And then we have some swatches here from one of my hauls with my new watercolours. And the very final page is more swatching, again from a haul. We've got some acrylic ink here as well as watercolours. Cascade Green keeps getting recommended to me. I do have that in my palette, so I want to use that a bit more next year. But I do tend to swatch in the back of my sketchbooks rather than in the front, and then I sort of work my way forward, but not too many swatches here. But yeah, that's the end of the sketchbook, so the end of my Strathmore Mixed Media 500 series. But yeah, there's loads of colour in this sketchbook. It's one of my favourite sketchbooks, I'd say, to date, actually. I really had a lot of fun filling this one. There's a huge range of topics and subjects, and lots of different material too. But I'm just really happy with this. It's just one of those sketchbooks where I had a lot of fun, and I think you can tell that I enjoyed the process, which is obviously what it's all about. I'm always talking about finding joy and having fun whilst we create. So I feel like this sketchbook definitely represents that, so I'm really happy with it. I'm actually kind of sad to have finished it, and I do have another Strathmore, because I love these sketchbooks so much, to move into. And again, I do have that first page fear. I think that, again, that's totally normal as an artist to feel that, but I'm definitely feeling it with that one. But I'm really looking forward to filling another one of this size, and I just need to find something to draw and just get going. And yeah, I do have a video about first page fear, because we all get it. I'll leave that linked if I've got enough space, otherwise it's in the description. It's totally normal, but once you've done that first page, I think it gets a lot easier. So a huge thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this tour. Hopefully it's given you lots of inspiration and ideas to fill your own sketchbooks. Let me know if you have a favourite spread down below, but a huge thank you to my patrons for their support. I talked a lot about them in this tour because of the anniversary and because a lot of this was created on Patreon, but I wouldn't be able to create these 3 videos here without them, so a big thank you to them and for supporting my artist journey. So thank you for watching. I hope you have a lovely week ahead, and I will see you next Sunday in our new YouTube video. See you later.